So it's time to get back into the kitchen. Hi there, I'm Jennifer. This is The Country Life. On this second full day of cranberry harvest, we are going to be having bacon wrapped mini roasts. These are venison mini roasts that we cut from the back strap. So we just kind of chunk it into about 3-inch chunks. And I think actually Warren happened to wrap these. It does not look like he seasoned them. Normally I will season them up with either a steak seasoning or burger seasoning, something like that. But it looks like he did not. No big deal. We can season them when we put them on the grill if we want to. Also, we're going to be having green beans. This, I think, no, I know that there's more green beans down in the garden right now, but this is the last of what I have picked. So I'm making up the green beans. And then our first butternut squash is in the oven. I have that with a little bit of olive oil, some salt and pepper, and I'm going to roast that 400 degrees for about 40 minutes. It may have to go a little bit longer, but I'm guessing it's about 40 minutes or so. So that is going to be supper. Oh, and I also have applesauce and I have pickles. So that is going to be supper here tonight. Warren did the bacon wrapped mini roasts on the black stone. And so this is what supper is looking like tonight. All right, we've got new hands in the picture tonight, everybody. So this is what our supper is looking like. First time I've ever tried to roast butternut squash, so we'll see. Supper tonight is actually steak bites. I originally had planned on making stew, but I don't know why I thought about doing that on a Wednesday when we have to be out the door by 8 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, things changed. So what I ended up doing is about 40 minutes or so before I was ready to put these onto the black stone. Well, actually Warren put them on here, but what I did is season them with some steak seasoning as well as a little bit of balsamic dressing. And we got the black stone cranked up to high, and he was just searing them on all sides, and then we're just cooking them until they're probably medium is what the goal is. Along with this, I have instant mashed potatoes, leftover green beans from last night, applesauce, and pickles yet again. Tonight for supper we are having the leftover chili from lunch, and I was going to serve it up with the garlic cheese sticks that I made today, but they're already gone. So this is just going to be some leftover chili here, and then anything else we can kind of dig up from the fridge tonight. A good rule of thumb when you are in a busy season is to always have meat thawed and in the refrigerator. The chili is all gone, and so I actually had some pork sausage thawed because I thought, you know, there's going to be a day like this where I'm just going to need some extra meat. And so eggs, some pork sausage, and then I just decided to add a couple more eggs because it didn't look like enough. A little bit of onion I sliced up. At the end I'm going to put some tomatoes over the top as well as a little shredded cheese. And I think that this is going to be enough to serve 3 adults, and I think Maria's going to have some of this too. So I don't know how this happens that it is already Wednesday of the next week. Last week on Monday, I was like, I'm going to be sharing all of our harvest suppers in a full week of meals. Well, guess what? I think I filmed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then let me just give you a little recap here. Friday, we had a piano recital and we went to Culver's afterwards for a very late supper. Saturday, we went out again for supper. That actually had been planned earlier in the week. Anyway, Saturday night we went out for supper to a bar and grill, got burgers, pizza, whatever anybody wanted. Then Sunday we did pork chops on the Blackstone. Monday we did burgers on the Blackstone. Last night, Tuesday, I did shredded venison nachos. None of that got videoed at all. I'm going to hop in here with a little quick grocery haul for you guys, and then I'm going to continue to share the next 3 nights, I hope. We stopped at IGA because there was just a few things that I wanted to get, and IGA is one of those stores where whenever I go in there, there's always like just some really good deals, not always advertised in a flyer someplace, but I do normally find some good deals. Not a place I would want to do all my shopping because, you know, in general, they're a little bit more expensive unless you're looking for deals. Okay, I found these chicken patties. These were $5.99 a bag, and I counted, I believe there's 13 chicken patties in a bag, which I thought that was a really, really great price. So I did pick up 2 of those. Some chicken leg quarters because I'd like to make chicken. And so the plan is to do the chicken tomorrow night. This was just another thing I found that was a super price. Chicken wings, 3 pounds for $4.99. That is a great price for these chicken wings. I've been wanting to try a recipe where I put the chicken wings into the air fryer. So I'm going to earmark those for that. Then I did pick up some of this Bavarian sauerkraut because I'd really like to make a pork roast and sauerkraut. Not all of these meals will be harvest meals because we are very quickly approaching the end of harvest. A bag of candy here to give to Warren. He will pass that out to the crew probably later today, or there's not very many in these bags anymore. I mean, I want to say there's maybe a dozen candy bars in there. And then they did have a little coupon booklet when you first walked in at the grocery store, so I looked through that quickly, and the only thing that looked like something I wanted was the cheese at $1.79 for a half pound of cheese. It has been tricky to find cheese under or at kind of like my stock up price, which is always $3 a pound. So anyway, it was a limit of 2, so I got that. And then some potato crowns, they call these. Basically, this is kind of like what Taco John's has, potato olays. So I'll just do these in the oven and season them up with some seasoned salt. So one thing with IGA is in their refrigerator department, they always have one spot where they have like some reduced price items. Today it was just this, and they had these 2 for $1. So I got 8 of them. Literally I could have got all of them, but they don't freeze. You know, they're not something that freezes, and their sell-by date is actually today's date. But I have like pork sausage here, so I can make biscuits and gravy. Maybe I'll do that on Saturday morning or something. And then Maria saw we always just call this Halloween cereal, and I said you could pick out 2 boxes. So between her and Joe, they picked out the Count Chocula and the Boo Berry. And then Maria was also talking about, remember when sometimes we'd get those slice and bake cookies? Well, I didn't see the slice and bakes at IGA, but they did have these where you just take them off the tray and bake them. So we're going to actually bake those up here before everybody comes in for lunch. And then I did pick up some Portesi pizzas because I just wanted to have some on hand. The other day, I wished I had pizzas on hand, and I didn't have any. And yeah, it just would have made lunch a lot easier that day, but I have them now. I also picked up 2 gallons of milk and a 12-pack of Sundrop soda. That is out in the refrigerator. I just didn't want to have to carry that in. And this was a total of $117, which, I mean, it sort of seems like a lot, but it also doesn't seem that bad because I did get, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 packages of meat plus pizzas. So anyway, that's just how grocery prices are these days. So for tonight, which happens to be our last day of cranberry harvest, I am making my grandma's oven fried chicken, and so I decided today to use chicken leg quarters. I just had this in for 35 minutes. Since I'm doing bigger pieces of chicken, I am increasing the time on this because I want this to be really tender. So instead of 30 and 30, I'm doing 35 and 35, and I'll probably have to even go a little bit longer. I'm going to get this flipped over back in the oven at 400 degrees. I also have baked potatoes. And I'm in my kitchen. I do have homemade bread going in the oven. Right now it only has about 6 minutes left. day 2 in a row of making homemade bread for my family. So let me just show you the recipe I'm using right now. This is in Cookbook Volume 2. It's the one with the Wisconsin with the cranberries on it. And this is the 60-minute mini white loaf bread. Yesterday was the first time I actually didn't do it the way the recipe calls for. This is a great recipe that I normally do, like if kids want to bake bread, because it's pretty forgiving and it's just kind of fun and easy for them. But I just put all the ingredients in my bread machine, set it to the dough cycle, and then let it go. When it was finished, I shaped it, put it into a loaf pan, and baked it. There's the one slice left from yesterday, and I thought I would make bread again for today because I have a whole lot of cheese left over from a cheese tray from our harvest party, and I thought we would make some grilled cheese for tonight's supper. Next up is apple crisp. This is in Cookbook Volume number 1. I have a whole lot of apples, and so what I'm going to do is triple the recipe. I tripled the flour, I'm tripling the butter, I am not tripling the sugar. I do not want 3 whole cups of sugar. I tend to like desserts that are a little bit more on the tart side. I don't need them to be, too sugary sweet. So I'm just going to get this kind of mixed up a little bit, and then I'm going to cube my butter, get that in here, and get that all mixed up. I'm making the topping for the apple crisp first, and then I'm going to hook up my apple peeler core or slicer, and I'm going to get all my apples sliced. I'm making a lot of apple crisp. Some of these apples I actually picked off of a tree down where we deliver our cranberries to. They have oodles of apple trees and nobody picks the apples. And it just hurts me to the core to see that. So even though I have apple trees, really only 2 of our apple trees out of our 6 really produced much of anything this year. But I saw those apples and they are beauties. Look at those. Aren't they just beautiful? Look at them. I mean, they're just perfect. So I have those all washed up. But what I wanted to say is I'm making a lot of apple crisp here because I'm going to keep apple crisp at home for us. I also want to take apple crisp over to Bill. That's who is like the owner of the apple trees. And I just thought that would be nice. He actually also commented to Warren one time. He's like, it'd be nice if your wife would make some apple crisp. And I thought, I could do that for him. So he also wanted some cranberries put in those. So that's what we're going to do some apple cranberry crisp today. Sometimes I like to do this with my food processor. It does result in a much finer, crisp topping. So if you do like it a little bit chunkier, hand mixing it works really well.
Stop doing that when you do that.
Grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese. It was like this, Mom.
Okay, knock it off. She doesn't like that.
Make a little book with them.
Mm-hmm.
We'll say Augustine.
Mm-hmm.
Because Augustine and Augustine.
Yeah.
Because I can see, because...
Oh, you can't even do the old-fashioned way, can you?
So... It's so cool to watch. Is it meant for making apple crisp?
Meant for just slicing apples for anything.
Slice them and they taste even better. It's really weird. Can I have one?
Yes.
They get juicier. Because the water, I think it's because the water like soaks in or something. I am on question 6. Well, I just did question 6, I mean.
right, I have my pans filled with apples here. Now I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of salt over top of these. I think it just kind of, I guess it just kind of tempers the sweetness. You don't need a lot. The original recipe probably has more than what I put in because I know that my grandma liked it a little bit on the saltier side. And then about a teaspoon or so of cinnamon. If you're really into nutmeg, this would be the time where you could add a little nutmeg as well. And then just about a 1/4 cup of water. At this point, we need to head out into the shed to get cranberries. We've already used up everything that we brought into the house, but I do have something like 400 pounds or something like that out in the garage here, or out in the shed. You know what I need to do though? I need a container. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, so this is what I have for cranberries, and we're just gonna pull right out of here. These are some beautiful, beautiful cranberries. Oh my gosh. All right, that's gonna be plenty. All right, I'm gonna put some cranberries across the top here. Just kind of get some in those little, down in the little nooks and crannies. We'll do this same over here for Bill's apple crisp. Oh, okay, bounce test in action. Did you guys hear the cranberries bouncing? That's actually how cranberries are tested. They are given a bounce test, and if they bounce a certain distance, then they are fit for fresh fruit. If they do not bounce a certain distance, then they are made into juice, sauce, and dried cranberries. All right, we're going to put some of the topping over top here. I'm just going to split it up between the two pans. That looks about half and half, and then just spread it. And that's my oven preheated. Spread this one down into all the little grooves. Okay, at this point I'm going to put these in the oven for about 45 minutes. Since I'm putting 2 of them in the oven at the same time, it might take a little longer than 45. I still have tomato soup left from 2022, but I have not tried, oh, I did that one-handed, wow, the new tomato soup, and I've really been wanting to give this a try, so I am skipping ahead to this. And I do not have heavy cream, but I do have whole milk, so I'm going to put in a splash of whole milk, as well as a pat of butter. I'm going to let that warm on the stove, and hopefully that is going to be delicious. So this is how supper is looking here. A little unfortunate situation with the tomato soup. I added some milk while the soup was still cold, and it like curdled and separated or something. I don't know. Peter says that he thinks the tomato soup's a little sweet.
Yeah.
Too sweet.
But edible.
So I haven't tried it yet. We'll see.
Yeah, I am.
Apple crisp is out of the oven and we're eating it now. It looks so good. Put some whipped cream on top. Already eaten a bunch of it.
Good morning, everybody. I'm back into the kitchen. It's been a couple days. I think I started a video, I don't even know what day that was, but we ended up, as you know, this is supposed to be a food video, right? So we ended up thawing some of the harvest party food, even though I had just put it in the freezer on Friday. All of a sudden Tuesday, we're like, we need to thaw that. So we thawed that, and we've basically just been eating off of the leftover chicken and the mashed potatoes and the green beans from the leftovers for the last couple of days. It's just kind of been some busy evenings. I had a speaking engagement on Tuesday evening, so I had to eat really quick to get out the door. Then last night I ended up going to visit with my mom, and the rest of the family had to go a different direction. So anyway, it's just been kind of hectic. What I'm working on right now has nothing to do with a meal, but I am going to be working on cranberry sauce. So I just went out and sorted another rack of cranberries, and I filled this up. I think when this bag is as full as you can possibly get it, it's right around 38 to 40 pounds. And so it's not quite full. I'm guessing I have somewhere around 25, maybe more than 25 pounds in there. I'm not sure, it's heavy. And I was just getting some stuff out here to start in on cranberry sauce. Now, I'm going to be going big time, as you can tell, because that's a lot of cranberries over there. I'll be doing cranberry sauce the way I do it when Emily and I make it to sell. But this time, I'm filling my shelves this time. So, cranberry sauce, 2 cups sugar, 2 cups water, 4 cups of cranberries. This is the basic recipe. Some people like to change it up, and they like to add in maple syrup or brown sugar, or maybe some cinnamon and cloves, or what else? Orange juice in place of the water. There's so many different things you can do, and I haven't experimented with all of those ways because this is just what Warren likes. So and when you put all the work into it, I really want to make sure that the end product is something we actually want and not something that we're like, not going to do that again. But, you could get a winner too. Anyway, this is what I'm doing. So I'm going to be doubling the recipe in each of my pots here. So I have tripled it before. You have to have some experience with knowing how long and what the consistency needs to be if you're going to triple it, because you have to like slow or softly boil it longer than the 15 minutes. And if you don't really know what you're kind of looking for, then you may not boil it long enough, and then you're going to have runny sauce, and it's not going to gel up the way you might be thinking that you want it to gel up. And I like it to be gelled. Like, I like it that when I circle, this is a measuring cup, but I like it when I circle the jar, I can, it goes like that, and the whole thing will come right out. That's what I like, so that I can slice it if I want, or we can use it. I just don't want it to be runny. So that's why I'm saying, if you're doing this for the first time, double only, and then you can still get away with cooking it for 15, maybe 16 minutes. Okay. So I'm just going to get all of this stuff going. This is not going to be, I don't know how much of this day I'm going to share, because this is going to take hours to work through all of this. I'll probably just show you each step as I go, but I'm not going to show it to you multiple times, okay? As I wait for the sugar water to come to a hard boil, and then I'll boil that for 5 minutes, I'm going to turn all of these parts into my food strainer here, and you'll see it in just a sec. So when I keep 2 pots going on the stove, I use 1 timer for the front pot, and then I have another timer over here for the back pot, and I just keep doing it like that so that I remember which one goes with which. And I need to just turn this down just a little bit because it really, once this comes to a boil, it only needs to be sort of like a low boiling for 15 minutes. This one always takes longer, and that's why I always have to have 2 timers going. So I'm just waiting for that one to come to a boil. I'll set this timer over here for 15 minutes then. I also am washing jars at this point. 15 minutes is up for the first pot, so I'm going to get that poured into here. I think I'm going to be able to fit all of it in to the hopper up there, and before I start, if I can, before I start cranking, I'll do like a kind of just a quick rinse of this pot and then get more water, more sugar boiling so it can, you know, we want to keep moving ahead. And this first round is kind of the bottleneck of it, because you're just kind of waiting and waiting. I mean, you can get other things ready, but you're just kind of waiting. So I like to, once the first pot is done, I like to just keep it cycling through as fast as I can. Yes, the whole double batch fit in here. So like I said, now I'm just going to give this a good rinse because I don't want to bring that foam back to a boil. Sometimes it has a tendency to like burn on the side. At this point, you want to stir it really well to combine like the thicker sauce with the thinner sauce. Just get it all combined. And if you want, you can take out these little foam spots. It does not bother me at all. So I just leave them in. I'm going to get this ladled into my jars. So let's see if I can do this without making too big of a mess. What, hun?
I finished the attack of the Frisbees.
Ooh, was that a good one?
Yeah, I read it before. This is my second time reading it.
I see. All right, so at this point I have the 7 jars into my canner. I wiped the rims, I put on the lid, and the ring just fingertip tight. You don't have to crank them on or anything. And I have my water hot because my cranberry sauce is hot. If you're putting something cold, then you would want your water to start cold. I'm going to cover that, bring that to a good boil, and then I will just kind of crack the lid a little bit because I don't want it boiling over. And I'll water bath can this for 15 minutes. All right, I had another timer go off over here, so that means that I'm ready for cranberries here. Once this comes to a boil, I will set the timer for 15 minutes. And I have 9 minutes left here, so that's good. That gives me just enough time to fill one more jar. So just for just for your knowledge, 2 double batches. So a ×4 batch will fill 7 pints plus a little bit more. It looks like I'm going to be, actually it's going to fill 8 pints. So some bad news on the canning front. I just had a jar break. Don't be discouraged. Let's turn that down just a little bit. If you do have a jar break, it happens. It happens. Even if you've been canning for years and years and years, sometimes it just happens. I did look over my jars to be sure that there were no hairline cracks. Maybe I missed something. I don't know. I don't know what went wrong, but here's the jar. The whole bottom just cracked right out of it. And it was kind of funny because early on, when it was in the water bath, I heard like a bloop, kind of like a extra large boiling bubble. And I mean, I definitely heard it, and I was like, I just figured it was just boiling. The timer went off and I opened it up. I saw the water and I saw 1 jar, and then I saw all the like stickiness. I was like, oh. So this one is going to be a mess to clean up. I'm going to have to take these jars out now. I did let them rest for 5 minutes. I'm going to take the jars out now and just set them off to the side. I won't be able to give them a really good wash down until they're cool, and that will be either tonight or tomorrow is when I'll give them the really good wash down. I'm going to dump all this water out, and I'll have to start from square one with the water and getting that hot and all of that. So it happens, and you just like move on. The sauce making is really moving along. It is 2:35 right now. I have all of these jars finished. This is all I have left. Whoa, I better turn that down. This here is all I have left to get into a canner. This is also finished over here. And I have a canner load going right here. I just turned it down because it's getting a little wild. Ooh, just splattered on me. It's getting a little wild over here. So this only has 11 more minutes to go. Then I like it to just rest for about 5 minutes with the cover off and the heat turned off before removing it. I'll get my last one in, bring that to a boil, 15 minutes, and I should have this all wrapped up, I would say, for sure by 3:30, for sure. I don't know if you were taking count as I was showing you the jars, but I ended up with a total, at the end I will have a total of 46 jars. I didn't have any other catastrophes, and I guess I'm hoping that everything goes fine. So as long as this canner and the next canner, everything goes fine, I'll end up with 46 pints. My goal was 50, and I could have continued. I have jars, I have lids, I just ran out of sugar. So I underestimated how much sugar I was going to need, because yesterday I stopped and I got more sugar because I knew just, you know, the sugar that I had in my pantry was not going to be enough, but I underestimated. Peter is my dishes boy for today, so he was working on dishes, and then I wasn't quite done with all of the, I didn't have this ready when he was doing dishes, so I think I'm just going to wash that up quick because it's the best if you get that cranberry off before it hardens on. And then tonight is actually date night, so the kids are going to have pizza bites and they're going to be thrilled about that. And Warren and I are going to, we thought about hiking first, then getting some dinner, but it's raining, so I don't know. We'll see kind of what all happens there. Today in the kitchen I've actually moved outside and I just did a quick sear on these thin pork chops. I'm going to get them into my crock pot here. I'm going to put this little liner bag in here though, and then I'm going to top it with some sauerkraut, and we're going to do pork chops with sauerkraut tonight.
Good cranberry sauce.